Ontario Liberals will soon find out who will lead them into the next election against Premier Doug Ford and the Progressive Conservatives. 4 candidates are vying to take on that challenge. Mississauga Mayor Bonnie Crombie is a perceived front-runner. Meanwhile, MPs Nate Erskine-Smith and Yasser Naqvi have teamed up to encourage their backers to select them as first and second on the ranked ballot in the hopes of stopping Crombie. A deal MPP Ted Hsu, the 4th candidate, declined to be a part of. Rob Benzie is the Queen's Park Bureau Chief for the Toronto Star. Sabrina Nanji is a journalist and founder at the Queen's Park Observer, and they join us now to discuss what we can expect from tomorrow's candidate selection. So, Sabrina, look, we've seen a record number of members sign up to vote for this, like 100,000, I think, eligible people, up from 44,000 in the last leadership contest. I mean, what do you make of that growth in those numbers?
Yeah, I mean, the Grits are feeling galvanized. Like you said, it's record numbers for them. Over 100,000, just over 103,000 members signed up. That's record numbers for them. But I think it all is going to depend on who actually showed up for this. I mean, for the first time ever, the Liberals are electing their leader through one member, one vote, ranked ballot. That's kind of what we're used to seeing from most other political parties across the country. It's how Doug Ford became leader of the PCs back in 2018. And so really every vote mattered. Voting happened last weekend. We're going to get the ballot count tomorrow. But the Grits are feeling good. They're really pumped up. Now, don't forget, they've been, in the penalty box since 2018. They have, the 3rd place unrecognized status in the House, but they have managed to pay off their campaign debt. This Liberal leadership race not only got them a bunch of headlines, it's very competitive. That's also a win for any political party, more than the NDP could say, because of course they just sort of coronated Marit Stiles for the NDP, who ran unopposed. They brought in millions of dollars. Just Bonnie Crombie herself brought in more than 1.2 million. That's, of course we know that a cash arsenal matters when you want to run a competitive election campaign. And so they're feeling good right now. It's still a long ways for them to go, but I think that they're seeing this as their way to come back to relevancy in Ontario. So
Rob, 100,000 people eligible to vote. That doesn't mean 100,000 people voted, right? It's almost never that way. Sign-ups are one thing, delivery is another. Do we have a sense of who got their numbers out? Who's feeling pretty good? How big the turnout actually was, and any indicators as to what we might see?
I think, Liberals haven't told us yet how many people voted, but I'm assured that it was fewer than 25,000. So that's less than a quarter of eligible. Now, remember, David, membership in the Liberal Party is free. So because people didn't have to pay $10 or $20 to join, they didn't really have as much skin in the game as party members often do. They eliminated the fee. Stephen Del Duca, the previous leader, did that as a way to get more people interested in the party, and it has helped. To Sabrina's point, they have paid or enlisted 103,000 members. The problem is, the majority of those didn't show up last weekend. I don't know who got their vote out most effectively. I think Bonnie Crombie is probably going to win. That's the safest bet. Whether she can win on the first ballot or the second ballot, I don't know. I mean, her campaign is very confident. As Sabrina mentioned, she raised $1.2 million. The runner-up in the fundraising was Nate Erskine-Smith, who raised $515,000. Right. So, less than half. And Erskine-Smith is a pretty effective, organizer as well, as is Yasser Naqvi, and to a lesser extent Ted Hsu. He raised Yasser and Ted each raised under $400,000. But this has been good. A competitive race has been good for the party. There are 4 solid candidates. They've got people enthusiastic about a party that was in power for 15 years, from 2003 to 2018, and as Sabrina mentioned, doesn't even have official status in the legislature. They only have 9 MPPs in the 124-member House, and you need 12 to be recognized as a party.
But it's interesting, Sabrina, you put that 100,000 number in the window of people you've signed up, but if Rob's intelligence is right, and I have no reason to doubt it, that fewer than 25,000 people voted. I mean, look, 103,000 is still good for your data collection and your email blasts and all of those things come the election. But if the turnout is that low compared to its potential, who do you think that favors? Is it Crombie, the front runner, or can this Naqvi, Erskine-Smith sort of vote for me, vote for him alliance get them into the pole position here?
Yeah, I think certainly this strategic voting tactic from Erskine-Smith and Naqvi will probably take some support away. I guess it remains to be seen if it's actually going to work. I talk to people in Bonnie Crombie's camp, as Benzie mentioned, they're feeling very confident right now. And according to their internal numbers, they've told me that there's no path to victory for any of her rivals, which is pretty bold, to say before we actually have the ballot count. But they're feeling very good. I think that, Bonnie Crombie has been seen as the front runner for a lot of reasons throughout the race, not only her fundraising prowess, but she's popular in the GTA, obviously Mississauga mayor. And we know that the 905 is a vote-rich area that can make or break you at Queen's Park. She's also very good at getting under Doug Ford's skin. I mean, the Premier's office, Ford, they take any opportunity they can to, make jabs at Bonnie Crombie even before she's taken the party crown. And so I think that's a clear sign. They see her as a threat. And certainly, a lot of people are looking at her as the one to bring them back to the Premier seat eventually.
So Rob, on that point, right, we have seen Ford take shots at Bonnie Crombie because of this, front runner 905 kind of status. She's faced some criticism for allowing development in the Greenbelt and different things like this. Is she who the Conservatives fear the most? Is she who the New Democrats fear the most? Because I don't know if we talk enough about that, right? The move to displace Marit Stiles and the NDP as the official opposition here. What's your read on it?
I think that she's who the Tories fear the most, for sure. Now, we have an Abacus poll in the Star today that shows she would bring the Liberals to 31 points and Ford would be at 39 points in a theoretical head-to-head contest with the NDP in third. And that's better than without her at the helm, where it's 42 for the Tories and 23 for the Liberals, and the NDP's at 24. So she certainly. And the Tories are doing their own research, I'm sure, that shows similar things. So, she also lives kind of rent-free in Doug Ford's head. It's very interesting to watch. He visibly gets ticked off when you mention her name. He knows her well because they worked together when she was mayor of Mississauga on a bunch of initiatives. And she just, Sabrina is right, she rankles him, gets under his skin. I'm willing to bet, David, that if I asked Mr. Ford who the other three candidates were, he couldn't name them because he's never mentioned any of them that I've heard. So I think, and remember, the Tories hold every single seat in the 905,
right?
Except for one that's a former Tory who's an independent. So they know that if those seats start falling like dominoes, they've got a problem, and I think they're wary of her for sure.
Right. Okay. I need Sabrina, just a quick 30 seconds from you, and then Rob, on the by-election in Kitchener Centre last night. The Greens won that, doubling the size of their caucus from 1 to 2. What does it mean to see the Greens break through in Kitchener Centre like this?
Oh, a huge win for the Greens last night. I think, it's a by-election. It wasn't going to change the makeup at Queen's Park. Doug Ford and the PC still had this whopping 79-seat majority. But I think the stakes were very high for Marit Stiles in particular. I mean, this was their seat to lose. It was left vacant by Laura May Lindo, former NDPer, who resigned in the summer. And Marit's been dealing with a bit of a caucus rift over the Sarah Jama ouster and Sarah Jama's comments on the Israel-Hamas war. So I think the NDP certainly is still smarting. Major victory for the Greens, but I think even the Conservatives, who placed third, with their out-of-towner candidate, they're kind of sitting pretty right now, and they're feeling good because obviously galvanized Green Party could potentially split the vote for the Liberals and the NDP, and so I think the Conservatives are kind of looking at that a bit gleefully too.
Right. So Rob, just quickly on that, I mean, the Greens the big winner, are the NDP the big loser, and is this Israel, Hamas, Sarah Jama, is that fallout there with the progressive vote coalescing, or is it just local?
Yeah, although, I mean, we know the federal Green Party had its own implosion over the Middle East, too. So I'm not really sure that that's the factor there. I think it was a strong local candidate. The Green candidate was a popular councillor. They ran a good campaign. But Sabrina's right. This was a very, very bad result for the New Democrats. They held the seat. They won 40% of the vote last year when they won the seat. And then the MPP decided she didn't want to be an MPP anymore. Last night they won, I think, 27-28%, and the Greens were at like 48%. It was a very, very bad result for the Liberals, though. Liberals were fourth with like 8%, which is pathetic and not good as they head into this weekend leadership race. Okay, gang, always appreciate it. Rob Benzie with the Toronto Star, Sabrina Nanji with the Queen's Park Observer. Thanks so much.
Thanks.